everyone, welcome to Bickering Book Reviews. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Becky.
And today we're talking about The Falling by Anna Todd. I got this off of Edelweiss.
Me too.
And so this is the next series after and has nothing to do with After. So it's a whole new world. And it is about Karina, who grew up in a military family with her twin brother, and both of them decided that they're totally not going to be military at all, and they want kind of nothing to do with that life. Because their parents had a very tumultuous relationship that ended in divorce and their mother abandoning them. But now Karina works as a massage therapist. And one day, Kale shows up, and he is a soldier who's recently back from active duty. He's quiet, and he's a little not standoffish. He's just very blocked. He's very guarded. But she's got growing feelings for him. And turns out Kale is friends with one of Karina's coworkers, who also tends to basically live at her house, every so often. It's a really weird relationship. But
I think she actually lives there.
Does she really live there? I don't
Who knows? Who knows?
I think she has her own house. She just sometimes comes and stays with Karina. Anyway, her name's Ellie, right?
Elodie.
So Elodie, her husband is good friends with Kale. And so Elodie agrees to take Kale in to Karina's house. Well, Kale kind of gets into his own. He came back sooner than expected, so he's got to get kind of his parts together. So he's staying with Karina because that makes sense. And the two kind of develop a relationship, and that's really kind of all you need to know. I mean, there's
develop a relationship. That's part of the problem with this book.
There's no character development.
There's no development, period, in this book.
The only character I really know anything about is Karina, and I don't really like her.
But you know a lot of stuff about people because like she just does these like random information dumps. Because at one point she's talking about how in the military you don't have Tide Pods. And even when my dad came home, he still doesn't like Tide Pods. He uses regular powder detergent, which is just gross. I don't need that information. But it's like that with everything. Like every like random person she interacts with, it was just like total information dump about everything. Because honestly, this book is boring. And I like the smutty sexiness of After, and there was no smutty sexiness in this There's
book.
Nothing.
I should have prefaced this video with the fact that we were going to be ranting about it.
Right.
There's a lot of ranting going on because it was not good. It was really long, and there was really nothing developed, and like there wasn't even like an overarching plot, really.
There isn't. It's only 370 pages. That's really not long.
And they spent all this time doing this like they prefaced it with like current times, but I have no idea like what is going on in the current times, and they never touch on it in the rest of the book, really.
No. Well, and so there's also like I can't figure out the timeline because she's supposed to be 20 years old. She is a massage therapist who makes enough money to buy her own house. But then like there are things like at one point she's talking about like I've only really had one boyfriend from high school. I think his name was something or other. She can't remember his name, but then there's like she's talking later about she went to this party like her junior year and some guy kissed her and she didn't want to. But he remembered everything about. And then like they keep talking about like an ex-boyfriend. But he's never there, but I know a lot about him, even though I don't think he's ever actually on the page. And it doesn't make sense. But like, how old is she? So she's supposed to be 20. She just graduated from high school. She doesn't remember high school, but she had enough time to become a massage therapist and to save up enough money and have enough credit to buy a house.
Even though she doesn't have any credit cards. She made that comment about not having a credit card. And I don't know what any of the characters look like. One of them, and Kale is African American. You don't find that out until very well into the book.
No.
And it kind of feels like a prop, like his race almost feels like a prop in this story, which is like really uncomfortable. But maybe that's just how I see it. I don't know. But like, I don't like the fact that I don't know what the characters look like.
It took me 4 days to get through the first 2 chapters. 4 days. That's not normal.
It's not. It's not good. It's not. It's not. And like, and I feel like a lot of the same tropes or like themes were present here that were in after, but they just weren't. It was tired. Like the family being abusive and, you know, having these abusive kind of relationships with people that just seemed very similar to what was going on in after. And it was like a rehash of all of that, but like more watered down.
I kept thinking, I'm like, how did an editor, and I think this is from Simon and Schuster, let this get published? I mean, it's an arc, but my understanding is that the arcs aren't that different. Because I was just like, and I read somewhere on Goodreads, because I went into Goodreads, because it only has like a 3.25 on Goodreads or something. It doesn't have a great score on Goodreads. So I went into Goodreads to see what other people were saying. And somebody said somewhere that this was a repackaged story. So maybe it was originally on Wattpad and they just pulled it off.
No, people kept thinking Wattpad.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Wattpad.
but I'm just like, and maybe it would work if like you got a chapter and then had to wait a week for a chapter.
Yeah.
But reading it all at once, it was so slow.
Steamy. There wasn't really romance.
No.
They don't even really kiss.
Plus, I swear the book description said she was a physical therapist.
Yeah, she's a massage therapist.
Which is a good field to go into. I actually Googled to see if you could be a massage therapist by the time you were 21, and it's based on credit hours, so it's possible. But physical therapy, but that's another, that's my new pet peeve when the book description doesn't match what actually happens in the book.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't have anything else to say other than
we might as well rate it. I feel like I could rant some more, but I feel bad too. Like, I mean, she obviously put her time and energy and effort into it, and like, you know, good for you. You wrote a book.
Right. I haven't written a book, so yeah.
You know, it just needs a little bit more development because it's kind of a mess.
I kind of feel like it needs an editor.
All right, we are at our rating scale. So our rating system starts at the top with 5 unicorns. If we don't like it, nope. 5 unicorns, we go down to 2 unicorns. If we don't like it, it doesn't get a horn and is therefore a horse. Where are you? I think I'm gonna do it.
I think it's a 1. I think it's a horse. Like because I'm like, you know, is there anything redeemable? And I'm like, not really. Honestly, I skimmed a chunk of it because I just couldn't read it. And if we weren't, like, if Edelweiss hadn't given me the arc with the understanding that I was going to read it, I wouldn't have read this. I would have stopped after the 3rd chapter. Yeah. And when I think about other books that I've given a 2 to lately, they were way better than this. Like, I feel horrible. And if you look back on like my Goodreads and if you watch old videos, I think we've only ever done this like maybe 2 times in 5 years.
It was pretty bad.
But it's a 1.
It didn't have anything to grab me. Like there was nothing there to grab.
Nothing
me. Like, it was hard to like find a redeeming quality. I didn't like the characters. I wasn't invested in Kale. And like then there were these weird like soapboxy like feminist things that like felt really forced and like not integrated well and just weird and like I don't know.
Like normally I can be like I can find a reader to give this to, but I don't have a reader to give it to.
I wouldn't do this to a reader.
Right.
We should just stop.
Yeah, this is
gonna stop.
So that is where we are.
Where we're at.
And we'll talk to you later.